What is up? Today's video is going to be a special video, special to me because it's something that I've been planning, something that I've been thinking about doing or working on for a while. But before I do that, I got to give you guys a few disclaimers. Okay, so disclaimer number one, and probably the most important one because it's the one that's going to jump out at you guys as soon as you start looking at this video. As you can see behind me, we're not home. We're not home. We're in North Carolina currently right now as I'm making this video. I'm in North Carolina, even though you are watching this video during the winter break while we're back home. It is what it is. I wanted to let you guys know that I did this video during some downtime in North Carolina while we were visiting my niece. So that's disclaimer number one. Disclaimer number two. This is a do-it-yourself video, okay? It is not a how-to video. Everything that I do, if I haven't done it in the past, I just learn as I go along. I read instructions and I do, I YouTube things. This is not a do-it-yourself. This is not a how-to. This is a do-it-yourself that if you're an RVer, you have to be pretty good at that. You have to do a lot of stuff yourself, or it's going to cost you a lot of money. So that's disclaimer number two. And finally, disclaimer number three. Disclaimer number three is today I'm going to do a not a real unboxing because I unboxed the item yesterday when I was playing with it, but I am going to take it out and I'm going to go step by step of everything that comes in the box on this item that we're going to do a review on. Now, this is the disclaimer. I am not sponsored by Harbor Freight in any way, shape, or form. I'm not being paid by Harbor Freight to do a review on this item. I'm going to do it because, like I said, it's something that I've been wanting to do for a while, and Harbor Freight has a large variety of these items, and I figured I'd share it with you guys in case this is something that you guys are interested in doing. So that's it. That's all the disclaimers I got for you. So, for a while now, I've been wanting to do a little welding, okay? Learn to do a little welding. Now, there are many types of welding. There's TIG welding, there's MIG welding, there's stick welding, there's flux welding, and blah, 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 and the list goes on. There's quite a few of them. So I wanted to learn. I wanted to start with an entry-level type of welding, just to learn. But at the same time, I wanted it to be something useful, something that I could use around the camper. Like I've mentioned before in the past, to own a camper and to be and not spend a ton of money, you got to know a little bit about welding. Welding. But I'll get to that in a minute. You got to know a little bit about electrical work, both sides, the AC and the DC side. You got to know a little bit, even if it's just the entry level about air conditioner or furnaces or hot water heaters. You got to know a little bit about plumbing. You got to know a little bit about everything. And I highly recommend, if you get into RVing, delve into this stuff. Get into it. Don't be scared. Learn it. It's not that difficult. It's actually quite simple. The different things that make these things work. It's quite simple, but you gotta be willing to jump in, and you gotta have a little bit of knowledge. You gotta be a little handy around tools. You gotta have a little bit of knowledge. I've been wanting to get into welding, but I've never really had the need for it. It was just something that I wanted to pick up as a hobby. But it just so happens that on our trip at the beginning of this season, the beginning of season number 3, from our trip to, I want to say, after we had the incident with Kaylee and all the hustling back home, there was a piece that holds the refrigerator in place that broke, and I'll show you guys here a little bit about it of this piece. It's pretty small. It's a pretty small piece, but yet it holds the refrigerator into the slide so that it doesn't move around. Well, that particular piece broke both sides, both ends, both clips that screw in broke. And we're talking about a very small piece of metal. So kind of rigging it and kind of, you know, putting it together, it's not really gonna work. You're going to have to, number one, order a new piece, which probably takes forever, and we're on the road, and I really didn't want to do that. I wanted to actually take the opportunity to see if I could fix it. Okay, so the other only option is to weld it. So as I mentioned, Harbor Freight has a variety of welding apparatuses. Okay, I've already mentioned the types that they have, and I can tell you they range anywhere from 150 bucks all the way to the thousands of dollars. Now, when you get up into the more expensive machines, you're talking, you know, gas and a bunch of moving parts that really is not feasible if you're an RVer. So you gotta look at things that can help you do those small jobs, and at the same time be something that you're willing to carry around. So out of all the different types of welding, I figured that the one that was easiest for me to get started was this titanium flux 125. Now, real quickly, it is 120 amp, okay, or 120 volt. It has 125 amps of power, and I'll get a little bit into that in a minute. And everything is basically contained. Everything comes in one piece. And I'm going to show you guys that. I'm going to do a little bit of unboxing, and I'm going to show you how everything came and the things that I went ahead and bought with it. And while I'm at it, I'm going to share with you guys what it all cost me, because, you know, I didn't want to spend a ton of money, but I wanted to get something that would work. Now, will it work? I don't know. I'm going to show you that a little bit later on in the video when we get down to it, because I'm going to work on this project. But first, let's get into the unboxing. All right, so the titanium flux 125. I've already mentioned it's 125 amps max output. However, if those of you guys that are welders, I hope I get this right. If not, I'm going to get killed on the comments. It is 125 max output. However, because it is a small device and it runs off 125 or 120 volts, okay, the closer you get to the 125 output, the less time you have worth of welding. So for instance, right here where it says rated output, it gives you an example. It says 90 amps at 30%. So basically what that means is you get 3 minutes of continuous welding at 90 amps, and then you have to let the machine sit for 7 minutes. Now, doesn't mean unplug it, leave it plugged in so that the internal fans will cool off the machine, and then you can get back to work. So it's 3 minutes, 3 minutes of continuous welding. Now, I don't know exactly how that's going to work out, but I'm assuming continuous welding, and basically what I read from the instructions, continuous welding is 3 minutes of, you know, continuous laying down a bead. But if you're doing little spot welds, or if you're tacking something, I'm assuming you could go on for a minute. But that's what I have on that. So I hope you guys understand that part. All right, like I mentioned yesterday, it is not a true unboxing because I took this apart yesterday, and then I decided, you know what, I'm gonna do a video on it for some of you guys that may be interested in getting into something like this. So it's not a true unboxing from the beginning, because I kind of put everything back in here yesterday that I wanted to keep together. But it doesn't matter. This gives me a perfect opportunity to share with you guys what I bought to get started and how much it cost me. So let's do this. And then I'll tell you what comes in the box and what doesn't. Okay, so if you're gonna do any type of welding, it is recommended that you use either welding sleeves or some sort of leather apron, and you definitely need welding gloves. So speaking of that, I bought this yesterday, leather welding gloves. This is just if you're doing any stick welding, this is to hold the actual sticks. And then I have a leather apron. This was a kit. This was a kit that cost me at Harbor Freight. This was $24 for these 3 items, or these 3 pieces. The apron, the gloves, and the stick, which I really won't be using. But for 24 bucks, you can't go wrong. It's not like I'm going to be a welder, a full-time welder. This is just for, I mean, are there better gloves? Of course there's better gloves. But for what I'm going to be using it, I think this was pretty good. So 24 bucks on this kit of 3. All right. Another thing that is in this box that did not come with the item, I bought it separately because I you know, in case I needed it. So I bought this pair of welding pliers. If you have an item that you need to weld together, you put one side here, clamp them together. You can weld in the middle. This was $11. The funny thing about this is that they sell this one. They sell this one for 11 bucks, and they sell another one that I believe the manufacturer is Pittsburgh. It's made by Pittsburgh Tools. There's a kit that comes 2 of these, one like this and one with a flat long piece for 12 bucks. Well, yeah, I screwed up, and I'll share it with you guys. I screwed up. I could have gotten that 2-piece kit for 12 bucks. I ended up paying 11 for this one by itself. So live and learn. It is what it is. Again, this is sold separately. This does not come in the box, but I'm sharing it with you because I paid money for it. I bought it. I'm letting you guys know. So $24 over there, 12 bucks here. All right. Another piece, or another something else that I bought that did not come in the box. I bought these separately. These are welder's magnets. If you have 2 pieces to weld together, the best way to do it, instead of holding them by your hand, is place a magnet. There's a variety of angles here. I believe 3 of them. There's a 90, there's a 45, and 120 degree, whatever. I bought this as a kit to use. This was 5 bucks. Harbor Freight also, 5 bucks. I'm not sure if I'm going to need it, but I have it. All right. So, bought a steel brush. Now, from what I understand and a little bit of research that I've done, if you were to do welding that requires gas, it's going to, once your weld is laid down, your bead is laid down, you're going to leave behind what's called slag. That slag needs to be either knocked off with a hammer or both, knocked off with a hammer and then brushed. I didn't have a brush, so I went ahead and bought a brush. And why do I need a brush? Because if you do flux welding, the flux wire leaves a certain amount of slag from what I understand. I'll know that here in a little bit when I get to working. But it's all, I mentioned earlier that what I was looking for was ease, something easy to work with, something self-contained. Flux is what I came up with. The wire itself does basically what the gas does. It lays down some slag, which is to protect the weld itself from contaminants. So I still need to brush it off. This was, believe it or not, 9 bucks. Now, another thing that did not come in the box, but I went ahead and bought, was welding goggles. Now, self-explanatory. If you've ever seen somebody weld, you don't need to know how to do it, but if you've ever seen somebody weld, they wear a welding helmet. I didn't need the whole helmet. Remember, we are, you know, space in these things is at a premium. So I needed something small that I could still use. Got these. These were 24 bucks. So I'm not gonna do the math for you. You guys do the math. 24 for the set of 3, 11 for the pair of pliers, 9 for the wire, 5 for the magnets, and 21 21 bucks for the welding glasses. This is a must. All right, moving right along. So this welder has a capability of using two types of flux wire, 0.03 or 0.030 wire, and it also has a capability of using 0.035 wire. In this particular project, for no particular reason, I chose to use 0.35 wire. What I did discover was that the tips, okay, the tips, and I'll get to the tips that come in a minute, the tips, the contact tips that come with the unit itself are 0.030, okay? I chose to use 0.035 wire, so I ended up having to go back to Harbor Freight, okay? Having to go back to Harbor Freight and buying the 0.035. Let me see if you guys can see that. 0.035 Vulcan tips. Now, public service announcement. Right across the street from the campground where I'm at, there's a Tractor Supply company. If you know anything about Tractor Supply carries a certain amount of welding items. They did not carry Vulcan, and what they had there was Hobart. Hobart is a very big welding company, and they carry, Tractor Supply only carries Hobart products, which did not fit on this titanium. So I ended up having to drive the 11 miles to go pick up these tips, because the wire that I choose to work with was 0.035, and this machine did not bring the 0.35 tips. So I had to buy them. These were for a set of 10. This was 16 bucks. 16, do the math, keep the math going. All right, so now to the last thing that I bought, again, that didn't come in the box. I bought myself a, this one happens to be a 120 grit sanding wheel, because the item that I am going to be working on in a few minutes, the ends need to be cleaned off. I mean, could I have done it with a piece of sandpaper for a job this small? Sure. But this wheel costs $6. So I can add it to I can attach it to my grinder and just give it a quick little cleaning, and that way the welds will adhere a little bit better. So again, you may not need to purchase this. You may have this laying around your house. This was $6. So that goes there. Now let's get to what you guys have been waiting for. Let's get to what's in the box, how it came, and I mean, I already set it up the way I wanted to set it up, but I'll go through and tell you exactly how it came set up so that you guys get an idea. All right, so this particular item, again, titanium flux 125. It is 15 pounds. Now, why is that important? Weight, RVs go hand in hand. That's always important. So 15 pounds, it's very, very light. That's it. So let's look at this here. So first thing that comes in, you get a little bag like this, and you'll notice these are the contact tips. Right on the tip itself, it will tell you what size they are. I'll take one out here and see if you guys can see it. Here it is right here. I'll put it up as close as I can. Right on the end, it says it right there, 0.30. Not sure if you could see it, but it brings two tips. It brings one on the unit itself, and then it brings one in this bag, and it also brings these tip covers. It actually brings three. Two here, and one is already on the actual handle or the gun. I don't know why they give you three, but I'm sure when you're dealing with welding, these things have a tendency of melting. I did see that at Harbor Freight, they do sell these by the bags. So that's probably the reason. So you get this. This comes in the box. Also in the box, you get an owner's manual, and which I read in its entirety yesterday. Very self-explanatory. Very, very easy machine. You also get this little card here that gives you a quick startup on how to set up the machine. I'm going to take a minute and I'm going to go over that with you guys. But it's very, it's 5 steps and you're good to go. That comes in it too. Like I said, the instructions, very easy. You get a set of instructions that come with it, obviously. And now to the unit itself. So the unit itself brings this handy dandy strap. It doesn't come attached. It doesn't come attached. You have to attach it. But nonetheless, makes it pretty easy to carry. This is the unit itself. Let me adjust this here so you guys can get a better idea. There we go. The unit brings a strap. You have to connect it and you're good to go. Now, out of the box, here's the welding gun here. Out of the box, it already comes connected. I'd say this is about, I don't know, anywhere between 5 and 6 feet. I'm sure if I read the instructions even more, I'd be able to tell you exactly. But it's about 5 or 6 feet long. It already comes out of the box, connected to the unit itself. It obviously has your power cord, okay? Pretty self-explanatory. I will tell you this, and they do mention this in the instructions. It is highly recommended. Actually, it's a must. Make sure you hook up to a 20 amp circuit, okay? Which most campgrounds on the pedestal, if it's a 30 amp, you have 30 amp and a 20 amp hookup next to it, or a 50 amp and a 20, or all three. In this particular post that I'm on right now, I have it. I have an extension cord. So that's good to go. It's good to go. Now, what else do you have here? You have your grounding clamp. We'll tell you this. Ouch. Something just hit me. I will tell you this. Looks a little flimsy. But we'll see if it works. If not, they sell these at Tractor Supply. They sell them at Harbor Freight. Basically, all you got to do is pull this back. It's got a bolt, and you could use a better one. But for my small projects, I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to try it. The good thing is, and I don't know if you can tell down here, it's already installed. It's already installed, and this is about 6, 7, maybe 8 feet long. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So you have the strap it brings with it. It brings the gun already installed, and you have your ground already installed to the unit. Now let's get to the specifics. Basically, see this little, it's got a little hole right here. You push back on the knob and you open up the unit. Right here on the unit is basically all the information that you really, really need. And I'll get to that in a second. But before I do that, I wanted to show you guys. So you take this little tension knob here with this little cap. You put your wire, whichever wire you decide to use. Like I mentioned, I'm using 0.035. You feed it through this little clip right here, okay? By the way, this you unscrew. Let me do it so you guys can get an idea. You unscrew this or loosen it up. That goes out like that. This opens up. All right. Your wire is fed right through here, and here you have a tension. You have a tension knob. Okay. And underneath the tension knob is a little spool looking thing. That is what pushes the wire through your gun. Okay, you could set the tension on this. You could set the tension, basically connect it to the power source, and then tighten this to the desired tension on the wire. And there's a way that it shows you if you use the end of the gun and you put it up against a piece of wood. If it bends, then you got the right tension, and that way you can control it. You can control it in and out. So the way to set it up, put your spool in, feed it through there, connect it to power, press the gun, and eventually, slowly but surely, the wire will be fed. The wire will be fed out this end and through the tip. And if you notice, I do not have a tip here because I had to go buy them yesterday, and when I got back home it was late and I never installed them, but I'm going to install it right now and show you guys how that works. All right, so I went ahead and opened up my 035, my .035 tips, and basically you just take the tip, feed the wire through it, and screw it onto the inside like this. Now, it is recommended that before you start welding, that you start with about 1/2 inch of wire to start with. What I'm going to do, oh, and also recommended, highly recommended for safety reasons, anytime you do any adjustments, removal or setting up, that you unplug the machine. We are unplugged. But now that my tip is on, okay, I'm going to go ahead and plug this in. Make sure that the tip is never touching anything. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and plug us in. We are now plugged in, and I'm going to go ahead and turn on the machine. I'm going to get into these specifications here in a second, but I am already plugged in, and there's a button here in the back. I'm not going to move it around or whatever. It's an on and off switch. Okay, turn it on. You'll hear the internal fan come on. I'm not sure if you guys can hear it. And you'll see the little light right here, little power light turn on. Now, from this particular point, if you take your gun and you press or depress the button, it should feed the wire. There you have it. So it is working as intended. Okay, it is working as intended. I'm going to go ahead and cut the piece off, and so I can start off with 1/2 inch. Let me just put a little bit further in, and let's install the tip. Just like that. Just like that. So obviously there's a lot sticking out, but I am not going to cut that out until I unplug the machine. And then I'm going to get into this part right here and show you why I believe this was the easiest to get started with for entry-level welding. All right, like I mentioned, never do anything while the machine is plugged in. I am unplugged. This is obviously way too much wire. 1/2 inch from the tip. There you go. So that tip is ready to go. I am going to set this aside. For now, and then I'm going to discuss these two knobs and this that you have back here. So, I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a close-up picture of it in case you want to reference it. Right here in this particular area right here, it says wire size. So this machine, you get two choices, .30 or .030 and .035, depending on which wire you're going to use. In this particular project that I'm going to be working on today, we're using .035. So I'm going to key in on the bottom line, okay? The next setting, so basically this particular knob right here, which is A, B, C, D, E, F, okay, is going to refer to the voltage. This is the voltage, which is very simple. There's a V right underneath it right here, very self-explanatory, okay? And then this knob right here, which is 1 through 10, is going to talk about the wire speed. So how do you determine what you're going to use here, where you're going to put? Number one, what wire size you're using is going to play a factor. And number two, the thickness of the material you're working with. So today we're basically working with 1/8. This is about 1/8 thickness. It's about 1/8. okay? Because we're using 1/8 material, if you go right here to the actual scale, you use 1/8 material, we're using 0.035 size wire. It is telling me that my wire speed should be on 7, which this is on 7. I put it on 7. And then it should tell me that the voltage should be anywhere between E.5, okay? Now, the 0.5, from what I read in the instruction, is obviously between E and F. That's the middle, the 0.5. So the voltage should be between E.5 and F.5. So basically between E and F, or F and G, that should be where the wire, that should be where the voltage should be. So how do you determine? You know, it gives you a range. Basically, it's the voltage is what's going to create the heat, depending on the material. You know, how much is it going to penetrate? I guess it's trial and error. I did buy a piece of steel that I'm going to try a few spot welds in there, on there, before I actually do the actual welding or the repairing of the part that I'm working on today. So there you go. That is that. This is this up here. Like I said, I'll show you guys a picture, a close-up, so you can see it, because the video may not be doing it justice. And I'll show you a picture of this up here. That's it. That's what we got. That's the way I understand it based on the instructions. I think the only thing left to do is let's play. All right. So, safety first. Got my old man glasses on. Got some gloves. My wire wheel is set up. Let's start cleaning off the material that we're going to be working with. So here we go right here. Not sure how this is going to work. So basically, that's what it looks like after. This is what it looked like before. Okay. Just to give you guys an idea of how this works. Okay, so this bar goes in front of the refrigerator like this. And this piece right here goes attached right there like that. And I just need to re-weld it. So now I'm going to clean this side. In order to do that, let's hold it with, let's use something to hold it so that I don't basically like that. That's the way it's supposed to go right there. So I flatten it out best I can. Now I will be dropping a spot weld right there, and hopefully it'll work. If it doesn't, you'll be the first to know. All right, I think I'm all set up. I'm going to show you guys here. How I set this up, and I'm going to try a few. Remember, this is the first time ever, number one, that I'm going to weld. Period. Anything. Okay, and also this is the first time that I'm going to use this machine. So on that little metal bar that I showed you guys, I'm first going to just, I don't know, give it a few shots just to get used to it, to see if the power is correct, just to see if I can lay down a bead. Not sure how this is going to work out. Let's give it a shot. I know, it looks kind of silly, but that's what it calls for. So I don't know, I'm gonna do it. Never done welding, so maybe later on I'll change what I do or how I do it. But for now, I'm gonna use all the precautions exactly how it says in the books to do it, and that's it. Let's go give it a shot. So I have my test metal out. I'm gonna see if I can lay a bead on that. I'm gonna see how that works out, and then I'll go from there. Check it out. Right off the top, I can tell you that I'm either welding too slow or the wire's coming out too fast. So I'm gonna make a few adjustments and we'll try it again. All right, so I scaled back the speed of the wire speed. I think the amperage, I think is perfect. It's good, it's melting, it's hot enough. I think it'll lay down a weld, but I think the wire's coming out too fast, so I slowed it down a bit. Let's give this a shot. I'm not sure if you guys were able to pick up on it. The hardest part was the magnets didn't work to hold because the piece that I'm working with is kind of like small, and it just didn't work. So the toughest part was just to quickly tack the piece into place, which I did. I was able to do it. Now it's a very fine little weld around. And I'm going to flip it over now and give it a spot on the back also. And I'm not sure if you guys also noticed, I had to grind down the paint because it wasn't letting the ground work properly, and therefore it wasn't giving me an arc. So I got it to work. I'm going to flip it around now and do the back. So obviously it doesn't look pretty because I haven't cleaned it off yet. I might give it a spot weld on the top and one on the bottom. Not sure if it's going to need it. We'll find out. But for being the first time I've ever welded, I'm not sure if it's good or bad. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the grinder to it and I'm going to clean up all the slag that's on it. And that way I'll see where the weakest point is and I'll hit it again. All right, so I ground off or cleaned off the weld a little bit. I'm going to go back, and there's some weak areas. I'm going to go back and spot weld those again and see how this works out. I'm happy with that. Not sure if it'll hold, only time will tell. I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side. Won't bore you with that. And when I'm done, I'll let you know what I got, and I'll show you what I got. Everything is picked up. I'm done. In theory, it looks great. I did everything the way it was supposed to. It it took a little getting used to, but like I said, the best thing to do is buy yourself a piece of steel. They sell it right there at Tractor Supply for like $5. You can get a small one, thick one, you can get whatever, and just practice laying down your beads. I think it came out all right. Okay. I just finished painting it, grinding it down and painting it, and I'm gonna go install it here in a few minutes. Now, the true test is gonna be, will it hold? And that is yet to be determined. I will fill you guys in at a later date. Let's put it this way. If this is the end of the video, okay, and here's the finished product after painting and after installation, the true test is going to be if it holds. If you don't hear back from me on this particular project, then everything worked out great. If you do hear back from me, then I'll tell you what went wrong. But as far as the item is concerned, I left the price for last. I didn't tell you guys how much the actual apparatus cost. It was the sale price, or the price was $169.95. I had a coupon from Harbor Freight, which is why we dropped the hammer on it. I had a coupon for 25% off. So, figure it out. The whole price was 120 some odd dollars. It worked exactly the way it was designed to work. Obviously, it's an item that you need to practice with. Welding, according to all the research I've done and the people that I follow and the YouTube videos I've seen, welding is an art. You have to practice at it. This really technically wasn't welding. This was basically such a small area. It was tacking the pieces into place. So that's what I did. Now we cross our fingers and hope that it works. But I'm going to install it. Tomorrow is a move day from here, but that's irrelevant because by the time you see this video, we will be during winter break back at home. And that's why I decided to share this video with you guys, because I did it a few months ago, or I did it about a month ago while we were in North Carolina, which is where we're at right now. And if you could tell, high of 50 today. It's been cold. Last night down into the 30s, but it sure beats working. But that's it. That's all I got for you guys. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope the review on this product helps you guys out. If you're interested in getting into welding and stuff like that, I gave you a little bit of information on the titanium flux 125.